This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
Let's go, baby.
Oh, shoot. What did you wander into?
Let's go, baby. That guy claps on the thing and goes, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, sure.
LFG. Hello.
LFG.
LFG. We are like not even like minute in and we're already completely off the rails. This bodes very well. This is what happens when you take a week off. We had a week off last week because I had a lot of family in town. And now we're back a half hour early because I've got a work meeting at 1 o'clock. So, hi, I'm Kenny Stevenson.
Hi, I'm Alex Enriquez. And my wife doesn't like when we take a week off because she says I'm like a champagne bottle full of sillies. And this show helps me get them out before the weekend. I've just been full of bubbles. I can't sit still. I haven't been sleeping. It's been terrible.
A champagne bottle full of silly? I love that.
That's me, baby.
I love that. That's you, and this is me, and this is me from The Greatest Showman. This is fan controlled fandom. This is all things in the Cape space. Everybody saying hi, daddy, name Tucker, hi, Hilton Reg. Look at Alex Enriquez. Who's that guy?
Oh,
saying
dude,
hi.
what happened?
Saying hi on YouTube. Hey, buddy. Hey,
it's the future, baby.
It's the future technology. This is the Cape space. We are in the Cape space. If you are watching content where people wear capes, we are going to chat. Hold on. We are chatting it up about it. We are talking about Star Wars, Star Trek, maybe, Marvel, DC, House of the Dragon comes back next month. I mean, we've been really riding the animation wave. These guys are handsome. Thanks, Duke Midnight. We've been riding the animation wave for a couple of weeks now, a couple of months, it feels like. But pretty soon, the animation's going to run dry, and we're going to have to start talking about some live action stuff. And we are heading into the right time of the season where there's going to be a lot of live action Guga to talk about, including Doctor Who comes back this week. Let's go.
Dr. Who, I'll say this. It'll be a refreshing change to finally be staring at real human butts rather than computer animated ones.
Animated butts. Freddie Airmail says, oh, no, not these guys again. Sorry to disappoint you, Freddie.
You can't handle it. Oh, yes.
You can't handle it. Oh, yes, these guys again. And this show, Tales of the X-Men. Of course, we're still talking about X-Men. We got 2 more episodes left. And we also, show name Real Human Butts. Yep. Fantastic.
Sorry.
Yeah. Tales of the X-Men / Real Human Butts. This is
it's like that song from the Drive soundtrack. Remember? Drive Real Human Butts.
You know, that's the Ryan, where Ryan Gosling's character name is just the driver. He has no name in that movie. Because people don't walk around saying each other's names. Like, there's a reason why you can go like several years without knowing someone's name, is because we don't walk around saying people's names all the time. But yet in like cinema and TV, people are always like, Mike, will you come over here? Or like, oh, Danny, what did you do? Like, no one talks like that. Anyway.
Batman, you were supposed to pick up our son.
How many times have we heard that one? We're talking about X-Men. We're also talking about, we had dropped something that dropped last week because the Bad Batch is over. We'll briefly talk about that. But then they gave us on May the 4th, May the 4th be with you, they gave us a show called Tales of the Empire. And so we're going to talk about the first 3 episodes of that show as well. But we got to talk about the quick pieces of nerd news. There's so much news that happens when you take a week off. Stuff just starts crack-a-lacking, and we got to talk about it. And we got to rip your eardrums with this.
Quick hits.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Oh, I am so pumped up right now.
We have got to rip your eardrums. So I mentioned very briefly, May the 4th was last week, and that was Saturday. So even if we had done a show last week, we couldn't have talked about this last week because this wasn't out. But we got, they always give us a little something. They got to give something to the fans to celebrate May the 4th.
Give a little something.
And it's always like way less than you want. Like here's like this little 6-episode. This little 6-episode TV show of like 10-minute episodes, and here's like a little like I don't know animated GIF on StarWars.com of something. But they did drop a new trailer for the show that's coming out next month, which we will 1000% be talking about on this show. The Acolyte. We got a full, they're calling this the full trailer from The Acolyte. I'm assuming you've watched this, I don't know, 50 times since Saturday?
I mean, it's just kind of been on a constant loop on my Aura frame that I got. I've cleared off all of the other pictures of my family and vacations. It's just the Acolyte trailer, and you know, everybody's upset, but it's really cool. And there was some footage that leaked as well of, you know, more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a poster leak and some footage leaked from, I believe, a German source, because I think all of the dubbing in the scene is in German, but it's the entire Trinity Jedi fight against the villain.
What does that mean? It's like, oh, so all three of the Jedi are going to be the main.
No. Carrie Ann Moss. I meant, you know, Trinity from the Matrix, but it's her whole fight in that bar.
I don't even want to see that. I want to take this. I want to drink this thing in for what it is. So for those of you
fresh.
For those of you who have not been watching this show or have any idea what the Acolyte is, this is the first time. This does not take place in any sort of current continuity of Star Wars. We are 100, at least 100. I mean, the High Republic. We're in the High Republic. The High Republic is 200 to 250 years roughly before we even get to like Palpatine is the senator of Naboo. So this is an era in the universe in which the Jedi are at probably their highest. The Sith don't exist, although it seems like that's what's not happening in this show. But just to like set the table, just doing some table setting here. You know, the Sith don't exist. The Jedi have plenty that they're dealing with, but it's more like, for lack of a better word, like a street level. That doesn't make sense because it's in outer space. But we're not talking about, they're not magicians fighting other magicians, as all of Star Wars usually is.
They're like a semi-religious paramilitary fighting force who sort of...
So like the American military. Anyway, keep going.
Hey, no 4-star general can lift a tank over his head with his brain, you know? But
well done.
I'll say this too, crucially, this is even within the High Republic. This is kind of unexplored territory, because this is about 100 to 200 years after the stories that they've really, really deeply explored that phase of the High Republic. In the comic books and books, you've heard us talking about it on this show. Like
really great stuff.
That war with the Nihil and that conflict is about 100 years before the events of the Acolyte. So much so that only one character that you would know from the books and the comics makes their way into the Acolyte. Is only around. This
is news to me. I thought it was flip flopped. I thought we were like past the Nihil, and this was angling more towards like we're getting close. I don't know, because I feel
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like we're post Nihil, post Drangir, like all this stuff that's in the books and comics now. The Acolyte is like 100 years past that. So I think they've already said that they won't be in the Acolyte at all.
Which is, at some point, we got to see some live action Nihil. They just are so rad.
Yeah, dude. Here's some real live action Crash Punk. Watch them do drugs. They do drugs, dude.
I know they do, and it's like they look like if there's ever like a steampunk convention, that's what the Nihil. It's like that, but they also listen to death metal. So it's that's kind of like where we or like they listen to like Atari Teenage Riot, and just like Google that and you'll know what I'm talking about. If you Google that, go to Spotify, type in Atari Teenage Riot, listen to it for about 3 minutes because your ears will explode, and then you'll realize that that's what the Nihil is. But
it's the kind of music that gives your mom diarrhea, and I think I like the steampunk thing, and I think too it also, and this is only true in the science fiction sort of fantasy context, that they make doing drugs look cool, which is only true in fantasy sci-fi. So
we can't condone that in this.
Only losers use drugs in the Star Wars universe. You can see it. They really clearly delineate that.
Unless you're Han Solo and you're running spice.
Hey, he's no user. You don't get high on the
true.
supply, baby. He's just moving.
Don't get high on your own supply. That's like number one rule of the drug trade. No, so we're definitely. There's the scuttlebutt, because we see a lot in this trailer.
You were not allowed to say that on Twitch, dude. We told them
I
up
know.
front we would not.
You
say
know, it's
stuff
so
like
funny.
that.
If you go to the app here, you can see where Freddie Airmail says real show name. We see on our end, we see real human butts, but it says real human and then a bunch of stars. You can't even say butts in the chat.
You
Anyway,
can't say, what if that's your name? Wait.
Yeah, your name is Butts.
Hold on a second.
Try
I have
it.
to do a social
Here we
experiment.
go. Here we go. I'll just set it up here. So the scuttlebutt, you know, we get a lot in this trailer. We get a lot of Jedi stuff. This is again, we're at the peak of the Jedi here, so we see a lot of Jedis doing a lot of cool stuff. But there clearly is somebody, a former Padawan, who Squid Game guy, whose name is, what's the lead character's name? I know you know what it is.
Sorry.
Is it So? What's his name?
The main dude from Squid Game that's in. I don't know his name yet.
Anyway, it's in the. Look it up on IMDb.
Wait a minute, hold on. I do have late breaking news. I tried to type into Twitch the phrase "famous coach for the Chicago Bears, Dick Butkus," and it's Butkus, and it said your message wasn't posted due to conflicts with the channel's moderation settings. Okay,
you can't. I mean, look, all the Dick Butkus stands are like crying right now, but you know it is what it is. So anyway, the acolyte is. He taught this. There's clearly somebody who is maybe being tempted by the dark side. We see that person on, I'm assuming, is Octo at this point. It looks very similar to it, which Octo is which is where Luke is at the during the Last Jedi and Force Awakens, and that is known as a Jedi temple. So
I think it's the first.
The first, yes. So there's but there is clearly like some sort of Sith guy wearing a helmet that's got like teeth on it that looks awesome. And all the scuttlebutt is that this is Darth Plagueis, but we will have to find out during the course of the show. Darth Plagueis was supposedly Darth Sidious's, aka Sheevan Palpatine's. He was his master, and then Sheevan killed Plagueis.
Sheevan J. Palpatine. Sheevan Jeremy Palpatine.
Sheevan Jeremiah Palpatine killed Mike Plagueis, Darth Mike Plagueis. Jokes that are only funny to us. People are going to turn this into be like, what's funny about Mike Plagueis? But think about it.
We're over. Hold on. I'll do it for him. When's football coming back?
When's football? Are you going to type that in there instead?
Type that. Yeah. Here.
When's football
there
coming
you go.
back?
When's football coming back?
Quarterback. Oh, Bussy says hello too. Hello, Bussy one. Anyway, so the hype on this is real. There's a lot of stuff we got to get to, so I just wanted to push this out there real quick. But
yeah, the Aqualight, we're ready for it.
This is coming in like a month, so we're going to be probably talking about House of the Dragon and Acolyte at once. So if you're lamenting these shows where we're talking about 2 animated cartoons, don't worry, we're going to be talking about 2 shows about real live action Guga with magic ninjas and dragon people. It's going to be dragon
real
incest.
Human butts and real human butts this time. Not any of this like cartoon drawn ones. No, real and real live action human butts.
Speaking of real live action human butts, we got some casting this week. So Fantastic Four is like just dropping bombs. So one of the things that was rumored to be like seem as much as a done deal as, you know, all the cast that was known before the cast was announced, you know, as much as Pedro Pascal was supposed to be Reed Richards, Harvey Bardem was supposed to be cast as Galactus. But for whatever reason this week, there, you know, all this stuff happened, but that's not what's happening. There was another actor who was officially announced as being cast in the Fantastic Four. His name is, I'm getting there, Ralph Ineson, and he is set to play Galactus in the Fantastic Four. This is an actor who I don't know a ton about, but he has been in a lot of, I mean, he's I see him, I'm like, yes, that guy. He apparently was most recently seen in The First Omen. He has also been in such movies as The Witch, The Green Knight, The Northman, and he apparently is excellent in all of these movies. He has been in the MCU before, playing a Ravager pilot in Guardians of the Galaxy, very quickly, of course. But this is big casting because, and the rumor is that this is not like a typical Marvel villain which is like shows up for the one, was the high. What is the who is the God, my name pulling is terrible. But like you look at the Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. Ronan was the first villain, and then he died. And then the second one was Ego, and then he died. And then in the third one, we got the High. What's his name?
The High Evolutionary.
High Evolutionary. He died. The rumor is that Galactus is not coming in to like wave and then die. That Galactus is going to be like he's going to survive this movie and stick around for a while. Is what the rumor is.
I would love that because it's part of. I think that may be part of the quote unquote Marvel problem is that they haven't really delved into some of the bigger classic villains because this one and done philosophy they have, which goes against the comic books, like Doctor Doom has been showing up and messing around with the Fantastic Four for 90 years. These are characters. True. These are characters you can't one and done. So I'm glad to shift more to that focus. I think it points to a different approach, maybe altogether with how they view the longevity of these characters.
Well, that might be something I'm going to be talking about later as well. But yes.
Oh boy.
I
hate to blow up your spot.
Are you familiar with Ralph Ineson at all? Has any of his work?
Was he Todd Packer on The Office in England?
No, I don't think so. Todd Packer. I mean, I feel like that'd be one of the first things you would see in the breakdown. I doubt it.
Dude, that was like 20 years ago now. He's done like a bunch of stuff since. So I don't know.
I don't know. Let me just Google Ralph. This is happening live. Ralph Ineson.
We're watching. Folks, it's not off. How often do you get to watch sausage getting made? And isn't that what they always say? You always want to watch it getting made, but they don't ever show you. So here you are right now.
You want to be in the room where it happens. Sausage. Let's see.
This is the chat room where the sausage is getting made.
Well,
the
here
Tang
I don't
is in the
see.
Spaceship.
No, he rose to fame as Chris Finch on the British Office.
That's Chris Finch. He's what's his face? David Koechner's character, sort of corollary.
Yes, that's who
the roving dirtbag salesman.
Yes, that's right. This is kind of a fun choice. Going off of that and then seeing knowing some of these other things that he was in, this is a fun little choice. It's kind of like this ties into a lot of stuff that we say sometimes with Marvel is that they sometimes have some inspired casting. And like while Javier Bardem would have been, a great casting and choice as well. But, if you look at the rest of this cast, it's a very inspired cast. We had Julia Garner playing a female Silver Surfer. Paul Walter Hauser was announced. I'm not sure when that happened, but he is in an undisclosed role. If you don't know who he is, just Google him. He has been in a lot of stuff
winner.
Lately. Yeah, no, he didn't win an Oscar nominee.
What did he just? He made a big speech and won something.
Oh, the SAG Awards because he was in.
That's right.
He was in a TV show called Blackbird with I don't know what it's called with Taron Egerton.
Yeah.
And that he won an award for that. Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. Also, like the thing that's so great about Paul Walter Hauser, if I could sidebar for a second.
Please,
Dude was in like season 2 of Cobra Kai, and I don't know if it was just contractually obligated, but like keeps coming back to do that show. And he can be like, hey man, back blurred. That's what it was called, Freddie Airmail. He could just be like, look, I'm not coming back to your little Netflix goofy Karate Kid Guga. But he totally does, and it's incredible. Like watching guy like he has been nominated for an Oscar.
He's also in I Think You Should Leave on Netflix. Maybe there's a little thing there.
That is, oh my gosh, what a great freaking show that is. That show on television, you mean?
By the way, can I say somebody else brought this up online. I'm not coming up with this point, but in the midst of Jerry Seinfeld saying
real human butts, go ahead.
Real human butts. In the midst of Jerry Seinfeld saying that woke culture is ruining, whatever, like the worlds he's not involved in, making television, writing television, like apparently those are all being ruined by woke culture. Tell that to Tim Robinson, who is the hottest thing in comedy going for like 4 or 5 years now, and as woke culture is really coming after him. Like he's doing something that everybody thinks is funny, is so fresh and new and whatever. And yeah,
I will just say
Exactly.
this. I will just say this, and then we will move on. Stand-up comedians, as somebody who has just started doing open mics again, your whole job when you were doing stand-up comedy, when you were putting together your comedy specials, anybody who's doing this, like Jerry Seinfeld still has to go to the Comedy Cellar to go try out material. Your whole job is you are basing your material based on, especially when you're coming up, basing off how audiences react to your material. And that is the basis for the job. And then at some point, some of these people, Seinfeld, Chappelle, Bill Burr to an extent, who I just saw do stand up, like you at some
Brag.
point you get to this. I went to Seth Rogen Smokes the Bowl at the Hollywood Bowl. It was fantastic. Anyway, they get to this point where they think that the audience doesn't tell me what's funny. I tell the audience what's funny, which is counterintuitive to the whole freaking process. Like it is that is your whole thing as a stand-up is you have to go out and like good stand-ups, like Rami Youssef just did SNL. Rami Youssef was like going to all the clubs to try to work on his material for the monologue, because that is what you do. Like Aziz Ansari goes out to the Comedy Cellar and tries out material before he does a stand-up special. That's what you do, because you're testing, the audience is going to tell you what's funny. But at some point these guys are like, but I tell the audience what's funny, not them. And they're the one telling me that my jokes aren't funny, but they're the ones who are dumb. And I'm like, well, then that's, what are we doing? Anyway, that's my little thing there about stupid comics.
100%.
Comics who think that like that the audience has now somehow gotten dumber. Like, anyway.
Maybe your billions of dollars has just insulated you from anything that would be relatable to anybody. And so you have to pick things to fight against that aren't that have nothing to do with you.
And you're surrounded by people who just tell you that everything you do is great. And so, anyway, there is other casting news in Fantastic Four, not just Paul Walter Hauser.
Jerry Seinfeld has been cast as Mr. Fantastic.
They also, they replaced Pedro Pascal with Jerry Seinfeld. No, John Malkovich, baby. Look at this. John Malkovich is set to join the Marvel. He was supposed to be in 2009, was going to be in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4, but that project was scrapped, and now he is going to be in the Fantastic Four. We have no idea what his part is going to be. It's an undisclosed role. He can't even say what it is, but they've now cast. This now cast includes Vanessa Kirby, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn. We have Julia Garner. We have Ralph Ineson, and we have Paul Walter Hauser. And now we also have John Malkovich. That's my very short John Malkovich impression. And I mean, this cast just keeps rolling out hits, baby. Let's go.
John Malkovich can't say who he's playing because he frankly doesn't know. He's like, I'm a robot or a centaur or something. Like some goo-gaw.
Well, if it isn't my old friend Dr. Reed Richards, well, get into the space machine, guy, or whatever. Like, he's probably gonna
get into the space machine, guy.
He doesn't know. There's an amazing story. I'll tell you. Like, I remember reading about Con Air, which is just an all-time film. John Malkovich wasn't supposed to play the bad guy in that movie. I forget, there was somebody wholly else cast for it. And they gave him the script like days before they were supposed to start. He like signs on to do this movie, and they didn't give him the script. They gave him the script, and they were like, "Do you need more time to like make a character?" And he's like, "No, I get what this is." That's it. He just shows up like 2 days before shooting, gets up and gives that performance in Con Air, which is kind of iconic. Like. Just like he's like, no, I get it. I'm the bad guy. I get it. Let's go.
Just imagine my face talking to a child. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, Freddie Emerald says, "What do you think that's like, being John Malkovich?" Great, we got there. Okay, and well done. Yeah. So the Fantastic Four is a film that is supposed to start shooting this week, or not this week, but sometime very soon, and they've really wrote out that cast. Big news that came this week that I know got you all a flutter was we got our first image of David Corenswet, still an all-time. I know we're probably pronouncing that wrong, but still,
definitely can't say it how you pronounced it on Twitch. We're not allowed.
Yeah, we got a first image of him. In his Superman outfit, Dave, I almost said Dave Gunn. James Gunn posted on Instagram and claims that there is no effects in this shot. It is basically a picture of David Corenswet putting on an outfit, which I'm sure made a lot of real, RFK brainworms people have
Yeah,
really
the best news story to ever come out.
I mean, wow. The fact that
Like,
the man has literal brainworms is next level stuff.
Famous anti-vaxxer has brainworms. Like, anyway, he was eating too much raw tuna in Brazil.
But I know that there was some people who had a hard time with this. But we get the first look at this guy. He's basically Superman, putting his boots on one at a time like the rest of us. What was your reaction to this image, Alex? I'm assuming it was utter glee.
I loved it. Return of the trunks, return of the big belt. This thing looks like a spacesuit, which is kind of cool. That he's putting on boots. There's like multiple pieces to the costume. It's not like it's got some dimension to it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the image, and as pointed out by EA Voss, the messiah of fan-controlled fandom,
yes,
he said if they're using virtual backgrounds or like that sort of volume technology, that could have been in the background of that window for a camera to take a picture of. There's a lot of lighting effect that would suggest that.
Yeah, he said that there's nothing that James Gunn said they've not done anything to the image.
Which I love it. I love the logo. I love the logo. I can already sort of, the suit already is starting to tell me a story. There's something I can invoke from it that really has not happened with any of the cinematic costumes before. And I appreciate that. I really am excited to see where this is going. Big blue forever, baby.
Yeah, I think this is basically like tipping the scale. We're going to get some trailers soon. In some summer film coming up, we're going to get a trailer. I think this is definitely just a tipping to that. I don't want to talk too much about a picture because we got about other stuff we still got to talk about. Because you know what they announced this week? A new Lord of the Rings movie.
Yes.
They just announced it. So the first Lord of the Rings, it's going to be like kind of like obviously we're just living in IP world, so it's not like it's not a sequel. It's just basically they're making a Gollum spin-off feature starring Andy Serkis, who will also direct. The film is being called Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum. It's set for 2026, and in addition to Serkis, the film will also boast a screenplay by original Lord of the Rings writers Fran Walsh and Philippa Bowens. Peter Jackson will produce the film. Unbelievable. For 2 decades, this is from the press release. 2 decades, moviegoers have embraced Lord of the Rings film trilogy because of the undeniable devotion to Peter, Fran, and Philippa have shown toward protecting the legacy of Tolkien's work, blah, 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 blah. It's called Hunt for Gollum. Unbelievable. I really just am kind of like stunned, but also not surprised.
I think they should have gone with the original title, which was Lord of the Rings: The Search for Curly's Gold, and I think that would have been a little more evocative.
And
for people.
And Andy Serkis plays Gollum's twin brother Ballum. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
No, there's something. There's something like. I mean, obviously, we're just in a world where, especially post-strike, where studios just want slam dunks, which means no more Space Jams. But they want real, like, bona fides for what their content is going to be. And they're like, hey, Peter Jackson hasn't done anything in this space for a while, and it's only the only space he operates in. Everyone's forgotten about those. Enough time has passed from the Hobbit films, so we can remember that, it's basically we're celebrating these 20-year anniversaries of, I think this year is the 20th anniversary of Return of the King. It's the 20th anniversary of when they won the Oscar. So they can, like, capitalize on that equity and get Andy Serkis, who's got to be getting real close to 60, I think, at this point. But they're going to let him put on them gray suits with the white dots and put all the dots on his face and really just contort his body in what I can only imagine is going to be incredibly uncomfortable, while also calling cut. So there we go.
Yep. This production, mark my words, this production will have the most on-set occurrences of Charlie Horse of any major Hollywood production ever.
Guys, hold on.
No, cut.
Or like he's gonna be in that hunch thing, doing the voice like, "Oh, my precious, I wanted it," and then it's gonna be like, and cut. And he's gonna be like, "Can someone come over here? I can't." Actually, I'm sorry, he's British. Could someone come over here, please? I cannot straighten out my back. Can someone just give me a quick, real pull? Can we get the onset? Can we get the onset chiropractor in here, please? Real quick. I need to give him just to give me. Just that guy's going to be just cashing checks. The onset chiropractor for Lord of the Rings: Hunt for Gollum.
He's not gonna play Gollum, or there's gonna be a handing over of the reins of Gollum. It's gonna
a reboot, if you will.
It's gonna be he's gonna hand over the leotard and the ping pong balls. He's gonna say, I'm becoming a 75-year-old man. I'm not as limber as I once was. I choked on the little fish bones last time I tried to eat one. So now I'm handing it over. This is Colin, and he's gonna be Gollum now. This is Colin Gollum.
Colin Gollum. The guy,
he's Gollum now.
Yeah, his last name's already Gollum. Kind of an easy fill there. Nope, it's easy for the call sheet.
And he's not that limber, but he's young.
But he's young, and that's the only thing that really matters.
Really matters. Yeah.
Show name, hand over the leotard, says Freddie in your mail. Andy Serkis, director of Venom: Let There Be Carnage. So that movie is 5 stars. So I'm all for whatever the heck has happened. I mean, look.
Jiminy.
There's so many things that we are trying to pull IP from, and some of it works and some of it doesn't. And like the Hobbit films are like fine. I still really, it's like a world that I like hanging out in. So there's like that aspect of it. But yes, we're definitely like shouldn't have been 3 movies. It's like a 250-page book. Like that's not, you can't make 3 movies from that. 2, sure. So there was obviously too much stuff there, but I like Lord of the Rings, man. I thought Rings of Power was great. I like living in Middle Earth, so let's go. Like, I don't mind if we make more of these. Like, I don't know if we need to see more Jurassic World movies. We had some news. They cast the lead in the new Jurassic World. It's the guy from The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. We keep making Planet of the Apes movies, and we're trying to make Transformers and Terminator, all that stuff. I'm not sure if I'm cool with all this stuff, but Lord of the Rings, hobbits and elves, and why not? Yeah.
You know what? I just had a thought that you mentioned hanging out in the world of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that is like these epic quests and adventures or whatever that are taking place in a richly depicted and very, aesthetically pleasing world. And then you counter that with Jurassic Park, which the first Jurassic Park movie, the entire cinematic experience is, we have to escape this situation, right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
So, every movie, really good point. Nope, come back to escape again. Come back. You got to run away. And that's suspense movies. That's horror movies. That's part of the appeal. But you're trying to franchise on something.
Yeah. At some point, someone's got to be like, no, we can't go near these things.
Yeah, come up with a different premise. I mean, I think I brought it up on the big broadcast before, but there was probably 20, 25 years ago, there was a scuttled script for Jurassic Park 4 that involved the DEA using genetically modified velociraptors to go on drug busts and stuff. And that, it wasn't about parks. It was about if this is true, what else is true of the resurrected and genetically modified dinosaurs that are around, and now what? It's not about I guess we got to have another park, and people are getting eaten. What?
No, we should never do that ever again. Yes, we're in agreement. Lord of the Rings, yes. Jurassic World, no. One more quick piece of
merge
news.
them. Put the dinosaurs in the Lord of the Rings, and then there's best of both worlds.
Now we're cracking, baby. We put Chris Pratt and Orlando Bloom in a movie together. Sure.
Imagine Ian McKellen with a velociraptor going like this.
You cannot.
Blue, you shall not pass. Blue.
I love Ian McKellen, worldwide treasure, but he seems to have been 65 for 30 years, right? You know what I mean? When he was playing Gandalf, I was like, well, this guy's in his late 50s, right? But it's been 20 plus years, and he's still anyway.
I think that's a class of British actor. He and Patrick Stewart, similarly, they hit a point where they're like, I'm going to be 50 for 1,000 years.
Yeah, and that's where they are. God bless them. Real quick, Bob Iger came out this week and confirmed what basically was already kind of known. He talked about how, based on their quarterly earnings call for Disney, that he is going to reduce the number of projects that Marvel and Star Wars produce. He said, we're slowly going to decrease volume and go to probably about 2 TV series a year. instead of what had become 4, and reduce our film output to maybe 4 a year to from 4 a year to 2. So that's what's happening, which is not happening next year. So I'm assuming this is after, because next year we are getting Captain America: Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four, along with possibly Blade. So I'm assuming that means Blade's probably going to get pushed. But he said specifically we're going to balance sequels with originals, specifically in animation. We had gone through a period where our original films and animation, both Disney and Pixar, were dominating, but we're now swinging it back a bit to lean in on sequels. So I hope you don't like original ideas.
I think I read that about like the cap on how much they're going to be doing, and I said, yeah, they'll be doing that until they're not.
Exactly.
Until it's profitable to make 3 of them and release 4 movies and 5 TV series in the same year.
Let's give it out to real shout out to in the chat. We have Hilton Reges who says misconnection, very good. I'm assuming he means the movie that he and I are both in that I made. That was
that's exactly what he means. Don't look into it anymore.
I'm not looking into it at all. Alex, we are on the Fan Controlled Sports Entertainment Twitch, YouTube, Twitter stream. So we've been giving you the entertainment. Let's give one piece of sports news to the folks.
Well, as you can see here, I'm wearing my McLaren cap in a celebration and an official fan-controlled fandom congratulation to McLaren driver Lando Norris, who scored his first win in Formula One, beating champion Max Verstappen. He had to be right at the apex of skill and opportunity, and he took it. And he now is no longer the longest tenured F1 driver without a win. And we're all very happy for him over here at the house. I've been over the moon since Sunday. One of my favorite sporting experiences I've ever witnessed.
I love all of that. You sent me some stuff about this because, obviously I have a vetted interest just because I like you as a person, but also just because his name is Lando. I love all of this. Here is my news. The Lakers, they're done. I just want to give a shout out to BC Lion because yesterday the BC Lions started training camp. But I'm here to talk about Arsenal, okay? Arsenal, still currently at the top of the table. Arsenal can win the title on Tuesday if, this is how it breaks down, if Manchester City beats Fulham on Saturday, they will return to the top ahead of Arsenal's trip on Sunday to play Manchester United. If Arsenal do not win at Old Trafford, Man City can move out of reach with a first league win at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. However, also, Arsenal can be crowned champions on Tuesday if they beat Manchester United and Man City lose to Fulham and then Tottenham. So a lot has to happen, but Arsenal is sitting on top, and as long as they take care of their business, they could still be Premier League champions for the first time in quite some time, over 20 years, I believe.
And that's all crypto coin, you said?
Yeah, so that's like Doge, that's Solana, that's AVAX,
I didn't get it, and now
Avalanche,
I get it.
But that's all those things. Alex,
I didn't get it, but now I get it.
I know something you definitely get, which is getting on them streets and getting us all them sponsors. Who's our corporate sponsor for the week?
Well, our corporate sponsor is a really, really big one, actually, and they've got some exciting developments. I don't know if you're familiar with Walmart Plus, which is I'm
very familiar. Yes, yeah.
So they're now going to be releasing new media on Walmart Plus as a platform, and so they've hired us to promote some of the new releases coming to Walmart Plus.
Let's go.
Okay, so these are the new shows that are coming to Walmart Plus. The first is The New Adventures of Old Roy. Follow the Walton family's famous dog, Old Roy, as he finds new and exciting things to turn into dog food. We have another series called Is It Imitation Crab? Host Joe Piscopo takes you through 90 wonderful minutes where celebrities like Kid Rock and Sally Struthers try to guess if our lifelike props are real or made of imitation crab. And then we have Monkey Riot Island. Follow the trials, tribulations, and ultimately the crazed and perverted violence that dominates chimpanzee society in this reality show that features chimpanzees in costume. Warning, show does not include actual monkeys because chimpanzees are apes. So those are some of the new shows that are on Walmart Plus. These are some of the new productions coming to Walmart Plus.
Oh my God, that sounds fantastic. All that stuff sounds great.
It's going to be fun.
Is it Imitation Crab is that's gonna sweep the nation?
Well,
Because
the
who
season
wants?
finale, you have to determine whether it's imitation crab or real crab, and that's when Sally Struthers is really stuck.
Really loses it. I love that it's 90 minutes too. Like it's not like a normal half-hour television
No.
show. It's a full hour. That's one thing when I'm watching Is It Cake is I was like, I want this to be longer.
You watch the deliberations in real time. That's why it's so long.
You watch the full cook. Like
Yeah.
whenever
Yeah.
you have an hour to cook your imitation crab and that you watch all of it. So you're watching them like look at the recipe and be like, is that enough? It says 2 cups. That's compelling television.
And you can picture crab cam, but that's a whole other
God. PIP the crab cam, the crab cam. Let's get to the main topic because I got to get out of here in like 40 minutes. We're talking about animated stuff still. We're still animation domination. We're going to talk about X-Men 97 first. We got 2 more episodes left. We had the penultimate episode air Wednesday. It dropped. This is Tolerance is Extinction Part 2. Directed by Emi Emmett Yonomura, written by Anthony Salitti. Here's the breakdown. Xavier is met with some distrust, but the X-Men focus on stopping Bastion and convincing Magneto to reverse his blackout. Magneto reestablishes his mutant haven on Asteroid M, choosing to leave Earth without power, and he rejects Xavier's dream of mutant-human coexistence. He invites the X-Men to join him, which Rogue and Roberto do. The rest of the X-Men return to their former base on Muir Island to regroup before splitting into 2 teams. Cyclops' blue team goes to Asteroid M to confront Magneto, while Storm and Jean's gold team heads to Bastion's hideout in the Galapagos Islands. Beast and Forge create a collar that can block Bastion's technopathy and sever his control over the Sentinels. The Gold Team battles an army of Bastion-controlled Sentinels as well as Sinister, who takes control of Cable's mind and uses him to overpower Jean. The Guga is just thick in this show. She sends a desperate psychic message to Cyclops. On Asteroid M, Xavier attempts to take control of Magneto's mind but is blocked. Wolverine stabs and seriously injures Magneto, who begins ripping the adamantium mantle from Wolverine's skeleton. Why that scene was not just an entire just bloody mess, I don't understand, but I know why, because it's a cartoon and it's on Disney. It should have just been one giant pool of blood. But Alex, what was your reaction to the episode? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
It wouldn't be bloody because Wolverine's skin would immediately be healing around the adamantium as it was coming out. Which he doesn't bleed from the hands when he pops his claws. So come on, Kenny. No,
Thank you.
I will say this, that I make them mind your weather and make them weather your mind. Like, come on, awesome. Like, this is more than anything, I think. As much as it's a more than worthy and surpassing follow-up to the original animated series, more and more I'm looking at this and going, this is just a comic book that's moving. It pace-wise, imagery-wise, the feeling of how these characters move and their specific weight feels like an animated comic book in a way that almost seems stylistically separate, in the same way that some of like the Spider-Verse movies do. This is a treat for the senses, and I'm just so in love with this. This is one of my favorite TV shows of the year, bar none. I haven't seen a ton of TV this year, but like I've only seen one TV show, and this is my favorite. I've seen 2, Bad Batch as well. But this, like, the writing on this show is tip top, and they don't talk down. They make big swings. They expect the audience to come with them, and I'm just more and over impressed with this series. As much as I want to, I can't wait to see how it ends. I don't want it to.
I also like just get a lot of joy out of watching this show. I think that that comic book comparison you just threw out is like dead on. Like, this very much, as somebody who collected comics in the 90s and then stopped and then I don't really collect. I just watch it. I just read them on Hoopla. But the look, the feel, the movement, this is like kind of the promise of doing this stuff and animating it is like kind of what you want. And for whatever reason, the way it was done in the past or the way other shows are done, they try to find ways to make it more like television, but this is like saying like, no, we can do both. Like, this is incredibly compelling stuff. It's not a children's show. There is a lot of blood and people dying, and a lot of people get murdered on the show. And there's a lot. This particular episode, too, to me, like, had the trappings of to potentially be very table setty, like as we've talked about, like because it's the penultimate, and a lot of stuff on Disney Plus penultimate tends to be very much like we're making our way to the big building where the bad guy is, and on that time we're going to talk about the adventures we've had along the way, and that's very similar to what a lot of these episodes end up. But this was like, no, we are going to do a lot of stuff. It set it up as such. Like we got the delineated sides. Magneto is over here. He's like old school Magneto. Over here, we got Professor X is over here. The sides are established again. But then we got like a ton of stuff happening. Like they like split up and went, and they like brought out the old school uniforms. I have to ask you.
Yeah.
I know that really. I could, when Wolverine came out in the yellow and brown, I was like, I could almost hear your like screams of joy.
That is ironically the one I prefer, a gold and blue Wolverine.
Okay.
In generally, I love the blue and gold costume. Forge's version, Roberto Sunspot's version of the costume. I love that sort of. They've used it over the years as sort of the entry level basic. If you're a mutant with powers who's going to fight with them, but you don't have a costume, you put one of these on. And I've always loved that look. But yeah, putting on the classic like Dave Cockrum costumes. I love that full hood Cyclops look.
Yeah, man.
The Marvel girl is so classic. I don't know. I love that they did that. Yeah, I'm just having such a good time with it. I don't know how they're nailing this so hard. I can't really find any places to go. And then you kind of have to put up with this part of it too. It really just kind of nails to me.
Yeah, there's not like, I think it, and again, this goes back to what we talk a lot about when we talk about these animated shows. The stakes are a lot lower, so it doesn't have to like bring Galactus into, it doesn't have to bring all the X-Men into the MCU continuity. It just has to be something, and it just has to be good at what it's doing, and it like knows exactly what it is. It knows the tone that it wants to. The thing I think that I find super impressive is just the tone. Like they very easily could have done this like as like, for lack of a better word, like nostalgia porn, just thrown a bunch of stuff in like, hey, remember this and remember that, which they kind of did in the first episode with like the basketball and the videotapes, and even like the 8-bit episode. They have like, or the 16-bit episode. They have some of that, but it's very much like they know the tone they want to hit. They know what they're trying to do. It very much feels like somebody is like got into a room and was like, you know what I really dug growing up was that X-Men show. Like let's get some cool people in this room and let's riff on that for a little bit and see what we can come up with. And it's written by a bunch of people who aren't like being like, oh, you know what I always thought should happen is they should do this, this, and this. Is like, no, like let's actually like draw this out. Let's talk this out and see how this actually would look if not who we were then, but who we are now, and all the breadth of our world experience that we have since then. And then let's make that show. Pick it up from where we left off.
Crucially speaking, you have such a great you have such a great foundation for that with the approach they took with the original show, which was very operatic, very big, and kind of bigly written. And I think an advantage for everybody in this scenario is Bo DeMeo and this team on X-Men 97 doesn't have to comply with broadcast standards and practices or sell toys.
Sorry, I just read something absolutely insane. My coworker sent me that if Sony buys Paramount, they're going to sell the lot.
Really?
Yeah, they're going to sell Paramount. Now they're going to sell the Paramount lot.
Yeah. No, that made me feel sick to my stomach.
I know, like an iconic thing in Hollywood anyway.
That Paramount lot would just be snatched up by somebody and turned into condos or something. Like nobody wants a studio in LA.
No, for sure. That's That's really sad. Anyway, yeah, this is touching on so many things, and I feel like again we said this a lot too. This is like equity, like positive equity that MCU needs right now. Like they need to have this, especially going into Deadpool and Wolverine, a movie that's got a lot of hype and seems to be like garnering a lot of positive attention. So it's good that it's having that. I got to ask you clearly, like, I know Wolverine's not dead, but is he just going to be devoid of his claws? And it seems like Jean, for all intents, I know she's not going to be, but she should probably be dead, right? Like that seems like where we're going.
Seems like, but who knows? I mean, maybe he blasted her into the future or something. Cable is one of those characters who's kind of always got something up his sleeve.
He's always got something up his sleeve.
He's he calls them his hidden fees.
Yeah. Overdraft charges.
Yeah. What was the question again?
Do you think Jean is actually dead?
Yeah, I mean, I really can't say. So maybe not. I mean, she's also sharing Madeline's consciousness, she says somehow, but Wolverine.
She's dead though, Madeline.
But she says that she's inside of her. I think she absorbed Madeline. I think there's some Phoenix Force stuff going on to at play, but Wolverine is still alive. His claws are bone claws. Like this happened to him in the 90s in the X-Men. Magneto pulled all of his adamantium out, and then for like 6 years he had bone claws, and then became more and more and more feral. And then they replaced his. I was watching EA Voss talk about this. They replaced his adamantium with Sabretooth's adamantium.
Wow, that's some next level stuff. I like that BC Lions is here. He's teaching the inmates, so he has to leave us on mute. But Canucks versus Rangers Stanley Cup final thought. I mean, for your sake, I want that. I'd love to see Vancouver get into the finals because Stanley had not won a Lord Stanley Cup for quite some time. And last time I know they did, the city had really, really terrible riots when they finished second. So for the sake of everybody, I hope they actually win.
I was in Vancouver in like maybe 2010, around there, like shooting that show Psych, and Vancouver was in, I think it was Stanley Cup time. I think it was in that city, and I was like, yeah, are we gonna riot tonight? And then it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. I want to just point out, Psych shot in Vancouver to double for
Santa Barbara.
That is just like unbelievable. Like, could not be two different places in the world than Santa Barbara, and the only thing that is similar is that they are both near the ocean, and that is it.
Yeah, no, Santa Barbara is completely enshrouded with lush rainforest.
Oh, I know. There's that one scene. Like, I've seen the episode that Alex was on. Like, you go out to the woods, and I was like, that is easily 500 miles away. Like, if you went to like Eureka, California, and then like from Santa Barbara, sure, but not like, we're just gonna drive over the Riviera real quick and we'll be in the dense forest.
Yeah, just on the other side of all this chaparral is one of the world's wettest places. And it was kind of mind-boggling to walk onto the sound stages there and go like, oh, that looks like there's Santa Barbara City Hall, the pink stucco and the red tile roofs. But
no, it's very
Yeah,
we were watching the show. My wife, who's from Santa Barbara, was very upset about it, which I get it. I get it. They're very precious to Santa Barbara.
It should just be, maybe it's a consolation to come from a place that is so well known but not recognized, if that makes sense. Like everybody knows Santa Barbara, but nobody knows what it looks like, even though it has a very definitive look.
Very mission style, and the mission style homes. It is very, very specific. But one thing it most 100% does not have is very lush, tall redwoods. That's not something that happens there.
No good skiing near Santa Barbara, I'll just say.
Not in the slightest. I'm trying to think how much time we have. We don't have a ton of time left. Let's keep going. One more thing. I do want to say there was a lot of cool stuff in this. I really loved that Magneto drawing sides is something that kind of happens a lot in comics. I think the most time it recently happened is in X-Men First Class. And there's something like, it also happened in I don't like her personally, or professionally at all, but Fantastic Beast does something similar. This happens in a lot of these big IPs, which I think is always such a strong thing, is when you have a bad guy and when you have people who you've known to be good give justifiable reasons why they have to go and join the bad guys. And both, I forget, is it Hector? It's not Hector, is it? What's his name? Sunspot.
Roberto da Costa.
Roberto, thank you. Roberto has like reasons, and Rogue has reasons, and you're not like, and it's like the fact that they are there alongside him, they're not going to be doing the kind of evil that he does, we think. But I've always found that like plot device to be incredibly compelling. Always.
I think too in this scenario, you don't. The whole Magneto was right thread that they keep pulling through this, that even Charles is having to account with. Like, I mean, the argument it's making, and one that's very pertinent to our real world right now, is like when you are there are only two sides, and it's bigotry and the people who are being bigoted against. That really is what you're facing down. And yeah, you can have all these different philosophies on how to face it, but that the real villain, the real enemy is intolerance, is bigotry. And I think too, crucially, this show is asking the questions like, you know, what happens when you push somebody too far?
Yeah.
and legitimately speaking, like, you know, the bigotry depicted in the show has some very, very clear echoes through what we see in the real world without having to exaggerate very much. And
go ahead.
And it asks you to pick a side, you know,
literally in this episode. And you're right. Like there's something to the fact that it's like, is Magneto really evil, or is he just a result from the evil that exists, the bigotry that exists in the world? And
the Holocaust survivor and you know, mutant villain.
Yeah,
the hated mutant. Yeah, he that's baked into his DNA as a character from the very beginning. They say mutants are hated and feared, and there's Charles Xavier trying to say, let's love one another, and Magneto going, don't treat us badly, we're going to kill you. I'm a Holocaust survivor. I know how these things go.
Yes, I know what human beings are capable of doing to others. I know how we do this, and you know, the transatlantic slave trade, the Holocaust, all this stuff. Fascinating. This is a cartoon show where also at the same time, this is all happening by people who are floating above the ground because there's a giant asteroid that he has pulled. Like, I mean, just Googa, baby. Googa.
Super cool. By the way, I love the new look of oh gosh, Mimic. Who's the character that Morph. I love the Morph look.
Yeah. He turned into Hulk in this episode too. That was awesome.
They turned into Hulk. That was the kind of the angle I was going to go for. Is like you have all these like real big philosophical things, and then you also have Morph Smash.
Incredible.
Cool.
Yeah. In the same time that he's got like non-gendered pronouns, and they fully just say it. They're like, you know, they were gonna do, and then Morph Smash. Incredible stuff, man. Yeah. So we're at the last episode. There is a lot that could potentially happen. Do you have any sort of prediction as to what could happen next week?
I mean, I think I agree with E.A. Voss and his take that this is probably going to lead somehow to Onslaught, what is
that?
There was a big crossover event in the 90s where Magneto and Charles Xavier's psyches collided and became this like unstoppable villain who like hit Captain America and the Fantastic Four and a couple of those other like classic 60s Marvel characters with some kind of energy that pulled them out of the universe. So like they ultimately Onslaught was defeated and turned back into Reed Richards' son Franklin too. He was involved in it somehow. But
all right, Kane.
You had the biggest part of it was that they were doing this subline of comics with Jim Lee and Robert Liefeld, who had left in the early 90s to start Image. Rob Liefeld was drawing Captain America and another book, and Jim Lee was doing Fantastic Four and Iron Man. And then Rob Liefeld couldn't meet his deadline, so he left, and Jim Lee took over. I think he integrated Wildstorm comics from his line of comics into the end of the series somehow, that they met up those characters and then reintegrated them back into mainline Marvel. But yeah, that was a huge, like, one of those big examples of bloated, comics for the collectors kind of storytelling.
Comics for the comics collectors, not for those stupid, everyday comic collectors.
No, I mean, the ones that are like, oh, we have this valuable event and there's a bunch of different covers, and like the story is really dictated by how much new stuff they can put out to make people buy rather than telling a story, rather.
Yeah, no, I get it. I definitely like. I don't know where this is going because we aren't setting up. This week was the kind of big battle, and based on what we're watching, they lost. So I have no idea what's going to happen, but we're
gonna cliffhang into season 2, because season 2 already was like pitched and done. I think they're looking at this as like a 2 seasons sort of arc.
All right, I'm here for that. We gotta keep it pushing here. Let's talk about Tales of the Empire. This was something that this was originally teased as we got the Tales of the Jedi last, and this was in 2022, the end of 2022, which was followed 2 different stories of 2 Jedis. It was Ahsoka Tano and Count Dooku. Those episodes were kind of staggered. We then were supposed to get a season 2, but then it was announced that we're actually getting something called Tales of the Empire, where we get 3 episodes of one person and 3 episodes of another person. They have chosen to do Morgan Elsbeth, who is was originally introduced in The Mandalorian and was then seen in Ahsoka. She's from Dathomir. She's one of the survivors of the Witches of Dathomir when they were destroyed by the Separatists. And then the next episodes are with Barriss Offee. We are talking about the first 3 episodes, which I'm going to recap very quickly. These are like 10, 12-minute episodes of television, dropped on May 4th. The first one is called The Path of Fear. So there's 3 episodes. I'm not going to do each one. There's 3 episodes: The Path of Fear, The Path of Anger, and The Path of Hate. This is Morgan Elsbeth's story. During the Clone Wars, General Grievous and the Separatist droid army massacre the Night Sisters of Dathomir, except for Morgan Elsbeth, who is saved by a nearby mountain clan. Against the wishes of the clan's leader, the matron, Morgan and 3 young clan members attempt to recover Night Sister weapons. They are attacked by droids, and the matron's daughter is killed. The matron saves the others, but abandons Morgan. We then cut to the next episode. During the reign of the Empire, Morgan becomes magistrate of the resource-rich planet Corvus and promises, oh my god, I have something I want to say about this, to bring jobs and prosperity for the local population. She designs a new TIE Defender, which becomes a huge project for one Grand Admiral Thrawn, but her proposal to make it for the Empire is rejected by Moff Izdine. Admiral Thrawn takes an interest in the proposal and sends his assassin, Ruck, to attack Morgan. After she holds her own, Thrawn accepts her project and offers his assistance. Pelion was in this one too, voiced by Xander Berkeley as well. Finally, after the fall of the Empire, former Corvus citizen Nadura returns as an ambassador of the New Republic. She demands that Morgan step down as magistrate due to her mistreatment of the locals and allows Corvus to join the New Republic. Morgan, who has received a vision that she believes is the key to the future, kills Nadura and begins burning down Corvus's forest. Before she dies, Nadura sends a distress signal to Bo-Katan Kryze, which was not who I thought who that was, but now reading it, I now know who that was. What'd you think of these 3 episodes?
Oh, so cool, so good. They really knock it out of the park with these things. The war imagery, these things are so well animated and depicted, and I love that they're taking the chance to kind of do these relatively large build outs of lore in these bite-sized chunks.
Agreed. I have some comments, but first I will say overall, yes, visually these are wonderful, and like the little looks into worlds, especially like when you're thinking of Corvus, which is a world that we have only seen in live action, and it looks, I love your hat, looks great. The world looks very much like, not like animated Corvus. It looks like very much the same world, because a lot of that world is made in the virtual, in the volume. So it's probably a lot of the same artwork is used to build it out. A lot of that stuff is great. Seeing General Grievous, a character who we still don't know a lot about. Like, it was a character that they made, and Unlike we've got with Tales of the Jedi, we got a lot of building and all the Clone Wars and all the books. We've really built out Dooku's character from like what was presented to us, which was like bad guy, and then now like I've cast this guy who is universally known as playing a bad guy to play a bad guy, and that's all I need to do. Tons and tons of work by Dave Filoni to like build that out, and especially with that Tales of the Jedi, we got a lot of really awesome information about Count Dooku. The thing I will say about these Morgan Elsbeth ones, in comparison to the Tales of the Jedi, just looking at what they are, they were great. I enjoyed them. They're like the length of time was great. I don't know what specifically like we take away from her character. Like I don't know if these like necessarily like built her character out anymore, like character wise. Information wise, yes. Like obviously when we see this planet again is when we first see Ahsoka, when Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka, and all of the trees are all burnt, and the whole like that's set up in this because the trees are all there at the beginning of this. And even like the guy, like the one Asian guy who we see, that's like the guy we see in The Mandalorian, like all that stuff. So we get some of that, but like, I don't know how much we really built out her character. Like that's my one kind of like, as I was watching the last one, I was like, even the transition from the first one to the second one, like, clearly she's like upset because everyone she got murdered, but like that's the only thing that's carried throughout. So I thought I was a little disappointed in the fact that we didn't get to like learn some cool stuff like we learned in the Count Dooku episodes from last year. That's my one criticism.
I can go with you on that. Like they definitely had a focus on, I mean, maybe that's the thing is like Tales of the Empire. Have you watched the Barra Sophie?
No, I'm going to watch them next. I'm taking it. I'm going slow, baby. Slow and low. That is the tempo.
You can't talk like that on Twitch, buddy.
I'm singing the Beastie Boys song, which I also can't do on Twitch either.
Yeah, see, I told you. I think that you're right, and maybe it's by design because it really is more about the world, the Empire, what's going on, like gap filling. Because she goes from she spans 3 distinctive phases.
Which I think was really cool about this. This is what I thought was my favorite parts about it, is that we went like Clone Wars, Empire, New Republic. I really thought that was a really cool part of it.
And Night Sisters. What is society like on? I mean, in that beginning thing, does she just go to another clan of Night Sisters on Dathomir, or
I don't know
who's that mountain clan she goes to? I can go with you there. Like Morgan Elsbeth is definitely somebody who, now knowing more about her background, like that's fascinating to me, that like she talks about my world has been burning since I was a kid, and then she goes out and burns her world. Like that's kind of an that's an interesting character to me.
Yeah, I think I think there is a lot of, these are definitely, I'm not saying this was like an unenjoyable viewing experience for me. I thought they were great. I just think overall as a character, like she's dead, so she's spoiler alert, she's not alive in she can be alive in anything prior to Ahsoka, but anything post Ahsoka, she's dead. She died in the season finale of Ahsoka.
They'll bring her back.
I mean, it's Star Wars, yes, of course, but I don't know. Didn't she like dust away? She's dead, man.
I can't remember. I gotta watch Ahsoka again.
They like stabbed her with the like Ahsoka took the like flaming sword, and I feel like she like Thanos snapped away. I feel like she dead. She dead.
Well, then that's a bummer.
But I will say, like, the thing that I guess it's like, I don't know if it's not expectation leveling at all. I think the only thing I'm basing my expectation on, because I'm like, I didn't anticipate that I'm going to learn so much about her. I'm just basing it wholly off what we got last time. You know what I mean?
And I'll go with you there. Like, I could have stood to, get a little more. I think, we could have gotten a little more from her.
Especially what was the coolest thing that we got? I don't have to even I know what the answer to this. What is the coolest thing we got?
In the Morgan Elsbeth?
In those 3 episodes, what was the coolest thing they gave us?
You tell me. I don't want to mess it up. You tell me.
It's Thrawn. It's Thrawn.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
come on. Like, we give us Thrawn. And by the way, seeing Thrawn, I put this in the show notes, seeing Thrawn in, like, not like the Rebels style animation, but like the Clone Wars Bad Batch, and seeing that Thrawn was like, oh man, now you get it. Like, if you watched Rebels, and then, not that Matt Mikkelsen did a bad job, he was great, but if you haven't read any of the books, or if you haven't, like, read any of the comics, like, that Thrawn is the Thrawn that, like, walks in and you're like, oh, whoa. Like, that's that.
Yeah.
He really carries it. And, it's not Mad Mikkelsen, it's Lars, sorry. But, seeing Lars do the voice, and I love the guy. What is Pelion?
Yeah.
His what is it? LeFou. That's who he is. Like, Thrawn is Gaston and Pelion is LeFou. But it was rad, man, seeing him there, and then knowing what we know, like the lengths that she goes to in Ahsoka to get to Thrawn. The lengths that she goes to, I would have loved to have seen something between the two of them to really, like, nail that relationship, other than just like it was a business transaction. You know what I mean?
Right. What is the? Yeah, I get you there.
Although I gotta say, one of my
big reason.
I told you the thing I wanted to talk about is we were watching the second episode opens with her basically. We talk about all the time about the things we want to see is the, like, day-to-day inner workings of the Empire. They open this thing with a pitch meeting. She's doing, like,
she has a deck.
She does. She has, like, a little thing she's talking about, and everyone's around the conference table, and they're like, "And how are you going to pay for this?"
Yeah, really. We got it.
I'm like, we got it, baby. We got some day-to-day, like. Somebody in that meeting had to be like, "I'm sorry, I have to cut this conversation short. I got to be in the conference room B for this pitch meeting. We can pick this up. We can circle back to this after I get out of this meeting."
You guys said this meeting was going to be done by now, and I have something to get. When they're on that rooftop, and it's Morgan Elspeth and Rook and Paleon and Thrawn.
I love seeing Rook, by the way.
Those are all legends. Like, Morgan Elspeth specifically is canonical, but the Night Sisters were introduced in Legends. And
yeah.
And so you got, like, Thrawn and Paleon and Rook are all from, like, the Thrawn trilogy by Zahn from, like, the 90s. And so it's like a big triumph for the non-Lucas Star Wars stuff that still has, like, a lot of traction.
Yeah, and that's why I think I said, like, I would have loved to have seen, like, there's just, like, Admiral Thrawn I just can't get enough of, and I feel like you tease it with us, and there's a certain section of lore that I think this could have filled that. We have, like, we know what basically now the actual canon Zahn books and Rebels. We know where Thrawn was during the Clone Wars, like when he was part of the Chiss Ascendancy. Those books are great. I have one more of those to read, and then we know where he is basically kind of close to the completion of the Death Star, because there's a whole book about how he's trying to get money for his destroyer, for these ships. So the ships that she's pitching, those are, like, known in both Rebels and in the Zahn books as, like, Thrawn's big project for the Empire. They're called the Defenders?
TIE Defenders,
Destroyers.
yeah.
TIE Defenders. They are like these advanced TIEs that you see in Rebels. And they're in the books a lot. And there's a whole book where he's, like, competing with Tarkin. Tarkin wants money for the Death Star, and Thrawn wants money for the TIE Defenders. And there's a lot of that stuff is there. We don't see, like, I would love to see some, like, either animated or live action in it. That's just me. Still totally fun. Morgan Elsbeth is a character that's still actually, like, compelling and stuff. It was great. And I loved seeing Corvus and all that stuff. And I love how they brought back the one guy who you remember from the episode and animated him. Like, great. Probably the same actor doing the voice, too.
You gotta love it. Gotta get those jobs, baby. You gotta make that healthcare.
Gotta make that healthcare. We gotta breeze through this. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's anything else here. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, we'll talk about the other 3 episodes next week. Let's ask real quick: X-Men, Star Trek, or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Yep, you just square in Star Trek. We get a little bit in the Star Wars area when we split the teams up and put people into different teams. That's very much like an Empire Strikes Back type of thing. But yeah, very much Star Trek. And then Tales of the Jedi, Star Wars or Star Trek?
I mean,
Tales
Star
of
Wars,
the Empire.
Star Wars, baby.
Yeah, this is
Magic. There's people literally using magic.
I will say that I will put in a little addendum. This is Filoni Star Wars. This isn't Lucas Star Wars. This is Filoni Star Wars. For sure, love that piece. Who's your big winner? Who's the big winner for these two pieces of IP?
Animation as a genre. It is me, but I think they have surrendered. I think finally to the idea that animation is. Well, they have surrendered the idea that animation is somehow subsidiary or ancillary or less than. These are in both. I think specifically in Star Wars, these are canonical events that are happening. You could theoretically watch all this happen in live action. It is just as historical to the project. We're going to see that with Creature Commandos. James Gunn's Creature Commandos is going to be an animated series that firmly takes place canonically in the new DC universe. And I think that that's just such a boon to fans of animation, to animators. I'm such a fan of the art form, and I think X-Men 97 is really proving what you can do with big corporate IP and big corporate platforms. They are making a huge program about how far you can push marginalized populations before they take a well understood step back against you.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. My winner is still Guga. I think Guga is just absolutely blowing it out of the park right now. We had a flying asteroid. We had Morph turn into Hulk, Morph smash. We got people fly. I mean, it is just like Guga upon Guga upon Guga. We still got that guy, the lead bad guy, taking his now robot mom and bearing. I mean, just goofy stuff. And then all the Star Wars stuff. I mean, we're in galaxies far, far away. There's a guy named Ruck I was watching that fight between Ruck and Elsbeth, being like, you could not put this person in live action. You couldn't.
It would look way too weird,
stupid. But you could do it in animation, baby. That's a big win. I love it. Loser.
And then you can say, hey, remember when you fought Rook? And she goes, yeah. In live action, she can say that. Yeah, I remember that. And then she thinks but it was a cartoon, and she did it.
Yep,
cool.
Absolutely. I love that. You're right. The Star Wars stuff really does it really you don't need to watch it, but if you do watch it, you get so much more out of everything. Anyway. Big Loser. I mean, this is whatever, broken freaking record.
Yeah,
we were there. We were out in front of a lake, right in front of a lake, and Magneto was asking who was going to join him. There's no reason why you couldn't have been like, I'm not going with you, Magneto. Toot toot.
And by the way, one of the people in the show, one of them can turn into anything. Oh, sorry.
Look at this.
Sorry that I just came up with that off the top of my head.
I know, right there, more. Turn him into Sam Wilson. We should make that our next thing. Turn Morph into Sam Wilson shrimping. But look at you! I didn't realize I didn't have my tickets ready for the gun show. Holy cow!
Python's on the loose. An exotic animal handler.
The juice is. Oh boy! Can we get another ad read about Walmart Plus?
This is some of the new releases coming to Walmart Plus that you can thrill to on the Walmart Plus platform. You've got Legends of History. Walmart founder Sam Walton's historical adventures are documented in this animated series. Your children will thrill to stories of Mr. Walton meeting Davy Crockett, storming the beaches at Normandy, and winning the 2020 presidential election. We also have Yogarati with Alice. Join eldest Walton daughter Alice Walton for 60 minutes of intense and proprietary self-defitness. Like Daddy always said, you want to kick a man's jaw off, sister, you better be pretty limber. And then we've got Great Value Family. This hilarious sitcom features a family of 20 living in an old tour bus, living off of $50 a day and sleeping in Walmart parking lots. This is the first sitcom to be compiled exclusively from security footage of unwitting participants. So some of the productions that are coming to Walmart Plus this fall.
I was going to say, that's a reality show. Yeah. of actual Walmart. I thought you were going to say, and they're all actually Walmart employees. Like either one of those two is synonymous.
That's coming later. We've got more programming coming up.
You know what time it is now? We got to whip through this stuff. I got to get out of here. Here we go.
Let's do it. Have it happen to you. Gotta get it going on. No.
All right.
Whew.
Are you ready for this? It's my turn.
Hit me with that rhythm stick, baby.
Oh my God! Strap in. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is opening this weekend and is projected to make $130 million worldwide.
Cool, good.
This is the 10th Planet of the Apes movie, making it the according to Jim of movies. In that, like that show from the early 2000s, which ran for 8 seasons, they keep making it, even though you can't name a single person who watches it. No one you know will see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes this weekend, but it will still make more money than The Fall Guy. That's why we're going to play a new game called Aping the Planet. It's simple. I'm going to read a title, and you have to tell me if it is a name of one of the 10 Planet of the Apes movies throughout time, including the original from 1976. You ready?
Okay.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
That's a real one.
Yes, from 2011. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Yep, from 1972. Trial of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
No, it's not. Planet of the Planet of the Apes.
No.
No, it's not. Apes of the Planet of the Apes.
No.
Nope. Planet Apes of Planets of the Planet of the Apes. Hold on. Planet Apes, Planet Apes of Planets of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that's one. That's definitely one.
No, it's not.
Oh, shoot.
Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. 1971. Capes of the Planters of the Apes.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, shoot.
Apes eating planters peanuts of the Planet of the Apes.
No, that's not one.
No, it's not. Eating the planet of the grapes of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
No, it's not. You ready for the next one? Number 11.
Let's do it.
Apes eating crepes and grapes while listening to audio tapes like a bunch of jackanapes on the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, that's my favorite one.
It is, actually. That is one. 1945.
Yeah.
Number 12. Landscapes full of apes painting streetscapes while they trape soundscapes mouths agapes like the shape of a Planet of the Apes.
Yes, that's real.
No. Landscapes full of apes painting streetscapes while they trape soundscapes mouths agape like the shape of a Planet of the Apes. All right, you ready?
Yes,
Number 13. Drapes of apes need scrapes that escape homescapes while making mixtapes with Jake Gyllenhaal of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
No, that's not. Once again, that was
shoot.
Drapes of apes need scrapes that escape homescapes while making mixtapes with Jake Gyllenhaal of the Planet of the Apes. All right, finally, number 14. Planet of the Apes, but this one has Mark Wahlberg.
Yes.
Yes, that is. And that was Aping the Planet. Woo! Oh my God. I'm back on my goofy stuff, baby.
I can't believe what you've done.
I didn't even know what I was going to try to do. And then I was like, I just knew that I wanted to try to come up with goofy names because there's so many Planet of the Apes movies. And you can't name somebody. Have you seen any of them?
I've seen all of the modern ones, but I cannot remember anything that happened in any of them.
Yeah, same. No, I've only seen Rise. I haven't seen any of the ones after that. But it's like, it's the According to Jim. According to Jim was on TV for 8 years. Not a single person watched that show.
Nobody's asking for it.
It's to Hoopla time. We got to do this. Oh my God, 4 minutes. Let's go. Might be a little late to my call. Right. Hoopla recommendation. This is where you put in your library card and you can read digital comics on your phone, on your iPad. Alex, do you have any recommendations for the folks?
Yeah, watch Dragon Ball Z on Crunchyroll. It's crazy, and there's a million
Boom!
of
Boom! I love that. I'm also not going to be recommending something on Hoopla. I'm actually, this is not on any digital service yet, Hoopla or Libby. I am imploring these platforms to put this manga called Mashley Muscles and Magic on their platform. You can watch this show on Crunchyroll. I read the first issue of this, and holy moly, is it one of the funniest, like, best ideas I've ever seen. Basically, the concept is Harry Potter, but the kid is not magic. He's just unbelievably strong. Not in like a superhero, not in like a superheroic way. It's like his dad knew that he wasn't blessed with magic in a city full of magicians, so he just had him start weight training as a little kid, and so now he's crazy strong. And so the way that he flies on his broom is he just throws the broom really hard and then jumps on it while like, because he's also super fast because he trains running, and so that's how he flies on his broom. It's incredible. It's an absolutely incredible manga, and the anime, I'm assuming, is good. I don't have Crunchyroll Premium, but I'm imploring Hoopla to add it to their platform, please. Alex, do we have more shows on Walmart Plus?
These are coming this fall to Walmart Plus. We have The Bible, the musical, the movie, the motion picture.
No.
It's a real-time depiction of the events of the Bible from Genesis through Revelation, starring Antonio Sabato Jr. as Adam and Sally Struthers as Pontius Pilate, with songs.
Sally Struthers, a lot of work. I don't think she's alive, by the way. Go ahead.
She is. I checked. She is. Trucker's Delight. Which trucker in a Walmart parking lot is the best breakdancer? Find out in this reality competition series. And then we have Walmart's funniest slip and falls. Given how much real estate we own, if you add up every Walmart in the world at any one time, over 4,500 hectares of flooring are ice rink slick with mop water at any one time. Ever wanted to see a district manager get a concussion set to yakety sax? Because that's what this is. So these are the shows coming to Walmart Plus.
I'd watch that, actually.
That's pretty good.
Oh my god! Oh wow, that guy's not even having a living wage. Alex, what does your dogs think of all this animation?
Oh, they just loved. Lupo reminded me because of dog years that each of those short episodes of Tales of the Jedi were 7 times longer for him.
Oh my god, that's a really good point. My dog was not even in the room. I think she's out, man. Especially with the Tales of the Empire, she was like, she's like,
that stuff for nerds, man.
I got no time for this. Alex, we got 1 minute. Alex, where can the folks find you?
At Duke_midnight, like it says above my head, on all the major platforms and wherever major magazines are sold.
You can find me at Kenny G. Stevenson on Twitch and TikTok. I am Kenny G. Donut King on Threads. I'm very active on there. Come and find me, and Instagram too, and let's just chat. And we'll be back next week. I'm now late for my meeting. We'll be back next week talking about more of this animated Guga. We got to go, and then we're going to be talking about live action stuff again. Bye.
Bye.